people have this idea of like introverts, like that you're going to be like Jim Morrison. You're going to be performing on the stage, looking at with the crowd to your back, right? You're going to be like looking at the band and like singing your song. But if you didn't know that you were an introvert, you spoke as well as anyone. It's talk about how you can. That's not being you're not always trying to thrust yourself into the forefront, but talk about how you are able to do so much public speaking and how you've become so good at it.
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, that's nice of you to say. It didn't come easily. When I was a corporate HR pro, I did my best work in a cube on Excel, tucked away from colleagues and the general public. I don't mean to paint this picture of introverts being like hiding in the closet, like turning off the lights and shutting doors. But actually, one of my favorite memes from the past year and a half is introverts unite, just separately and in your own homes. And that's kind of what the pandemic has been. But a lot of us have said we've done our best work over the course of the past year and a half because of how this sort of space, the social space, has allowed us to really focus and connect with people in our own way instead of in ways that might be less comfortable. But when my boss first came to me when I was in the corporate world and said, you know what, you know more about progressive coaching and DISC in particular here than just about anybody else, I would love for you to begin facilitating those workshops, leading discussions with, dozens of people at once. Baxter, I almost crawled underneath my desk. I loved the thought of being able to share an expertise that I felt that I had, but I had no interest in getting in front of 70 people for 3 hours to do it. And it's taken a lot of work, and it's taken being intentional about putting myself outside of my comfort zone, knowing that that is where the greatest growth sometimes happens. And, I've said so many times that when I'm feeling my most anxious about doing something, oftentimes that means that is the thing that I most need to be doing. And, whether it's facilitating a workshop or getting on stage at a conference, to this day, I love doing it. It's some of my favorite stuff to do, but to this day, in the minutes beforehand, my heart is beating out of my chest.
Yeah.
I get on stage and I'm welcoming people and I'm attempting to be, funny in some way. A lot of that is to calm myself down so that I can move along with something that I know is going to be beneficial to me. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. If you want something badly enough, and you're clear on how it's going to be valuable to yourself and others, you will learn to adapt to make it possible. And it doesn't mean it's ever going to be second nature or that it'll ever be easy or, some of these other things, but it will be doable. And you can even excel at it because you want it badly enough. And I think that's where I am now with public speaking. My heart may still beat out of my chest every time I step on stage, but when I'm on stage, it's where I know I should be.
Yeah, and you're sharing something that, like you said, that you have a great passion for and an expertise in, right? So I'm sure that helps.
And that can be, I don't know if misleading is the right word, but someone can look at that and say, well, Erich, you look so comfortable on stage. You must love being in the spotlight. You must be an extrovert. And I say, let's have a conversation. Get to know me. You'll understand that I'm on stage not to be in the spotlight, but to share an expertise that I feel is going to be valuable to my audience. And what energizes me is not the thought of, hundreds of people in a room. It's the opportunity to connect with individuals. I look out into the audience at HR Unite, and I see Baxter, and I want to know Baxter. I want to know Baxter's story. You're not one of hundreds of people. You are an individual that I want to come to know. And so in our social time afterwards, you and I have a conversation. I'm not bouncing around to everybody who is in that audience, because that individual one-on-one connection is really what I thrive on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would consider myself more of an extrovert. But I'd still bet, and I know that not saying that all extroverts are one way and introverts are, but I appreciate strong connections as well. And you know, yeah, synergy, I don't think you can fake it. And I think that, as an extrovert in these settings, I appreciate the connections, but there's other people that I want to make sure that I don't miss because maybe I have some connections with those folks as well, right?
Yep.
So it's similar, but also, clear differences.